Minutes to 8 now. Let's take you back to 2015. Remember this?
All of my life I've heard that a truly successful person, a really successful person, and even modestly successful, cannot run for public office. Just can't happen. And yet that's the kind of mindset that you need to make this country great again. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again.
Well, 4 years on, Donald Trump wants to do it all again, officially announcing he's running for a second term at a rally in Orlando this evening. It's no accident the US president is launching his 2020 bid in Florida. It's a key swing state he'll be looking to win over for a second time if he's to stay in the White House.
Recent polls have put President Trump behind the former Vice President Joe Biden and other Democratic contenders in the early stages of the campaign. But in a tweet, Mr. Trump described those figures as fake and in an ABC News interview claimed that internal polls showed he was winning everywhere. Republicans overseas, Scotland's Erol Morkoc joins us now. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So what do you think we can read into those polls of anything at this stage then, Errol?
Well, at this point, I mean, there's no major strategic predictive or decision that's going to be influenced by a survey that's being conducted in May or June of 2019 for the 2020 election. It's very early in the process. At this point in Ronald Reagan's second round campaign, he was losing. So a lot of those models came out of 2016 worst case turnout models. And when you look at specific Democratic candidates that are then selected out of that, you see Donald Trump as a competitive, actually leading candidate. So there's just different ways of polling. We're very early. It is good fun, but that's all it is for.
And he's launching the campaign in Florida, as we said. He must win Florida. Just how important is that?
Oh, Florida's key, and he's going to be taking the stage to make the case that the first 2.5 years of his administration have been promises made, promises kept. The U.S. economy, actions and taxes, military spending, judicial appointments, that all is speaking to the Florida voter. It's no accident that he's starting there because that's probably where the campaign could realistically finish. It's got 29 electoral college votes. But the one of the positive things you can take away is that in the November 2018 election cycle, they won both the Senate and the governor's race. So it shows there's strong grassroots support there, and you can push up the East Coast with that.
What would you say President Trump's strategy is?
Well, his strategy is to kind of take that swell that they have in Florida, the grassroots support, and build that out. So he's going to be going in there with the strong jobs number, the fact that the U.S. economy is at record highs, unemployment rates fallen to 3.6%. It's the lowest since December '69. You've got the Dow over 26,000 points. You've got lowest Black Hispanic unemployment. So as he's going to talk about these numbers, that's what he needs to keep the focus on. His strategy is going to be all about the economy, family, jobs, and some of those things that he brought to the table originally.
Yeah, and of course he needs to get a strong vote from women, from more voters from the African American community. I mean, are those the sort of figures that he will sort of rely on to do that?
Well, I mean, definitely both women and African Americans are hardworking taxpayers in the United States, and everybody's kind of looking at the economy first and foremost. But he definitely has a new swell of support in the African American community. They've been doing a lot of events and showing the real impact that the Trump candidacy has had on all aspects of American culture. So I think that he's going to be strong in those areas again. But it's an interesting fight, obviously.
Yeah, and of course we don't know who that fight is against yet. Will it be a different campaign or a different fight depending on who comes forward as the Democratic candidate?
I think that's a great point. Depending on who they put up will determine how the candidates run. Looking at Joe Biden would be a very, traditional heavyweight knockout battle. But if you put somebody else up who he can't quite go back and forth verbally like he could with Biden, the tone of the campaign, everything would change. And then there's obviously some really left-wing candidates who could make a run in there, and then you'd have a very ideological campaign war between near communism and Donald Trump's campaign. So there's a lot of different ways this can go. It's quite interesting to watch.
And I mean, I would imagine President Trump will probably say, this is what you get, as he likes to, sort of Trump is Trump. And is that going to be enough this time round with what record he has now, for him to go down that route?
Well, what people can like about him the most is that personality trait that he has, and he had the personality before he had the record. Now he's got the record behind him. He's got a lot of support across, many different areas, and when he can just point to actual results as opposed to just slogans, which is all the Democrat Party will be able to present in 2020, I think it's going to be exactly what the American people are looking for, because the results speak for themselves. So that personality type actually plays into his favor.
Okay, well, thank you very much for speaking to us this morning. That's Erol Morkoc from Republicans Overseas Scotland. Brings the time to 18 minutes to 8.
Scottish